Today we're going to be looking at brandy. No, hold on. Today we're going to be looking at whiskey finished in brandy. Hello and welcome to Whiskey Whims with me, Stuart. Today I'm going to do something that I've never done on the channel before, and that's review Deanston. I've spent quite a bit of time with this Deanston now, so I feel like I can appropriately review it. It's a 9-year-old from Deanston. It spent 8 years maturing in traditional whiskey oak casks, probably bourbon I'd assume, and the rest of its time, about a year or so, maturing in French brandy butts. So because I've never done Deanston whiskey before, I thought I would give a little bit of history about Deanston. It was originally a cotton mill, which was known as Adelphi, and it first opened its doors in 1785. By 1808, they had such a kind of dramatic growth in their workforce that they decided, or they saw an opportunity to build a self-contained village which would house more than 300 of its workforce. They even had their own currency, and it was known as Deanstons, and you could only use this currency within the village, grocers and places like that. So I think that's pretty cool to have your own currency named after you, or just have it in the village. I believe the distillery still have some of these coins kicking about. However, it's a distillery that I've yet to visit, and it's only around the corner from me, and I feel really bad for not visiting it. But I would assume that they have some of those coins still kicking about there. In 1965, the mill finally closed its doors, but as one era ended, another began. By 1974, a new way of living and a new craft had to be learnt by the community, and this was the art of whiskey distillation for many who lived within the community. In 1974 as well, this was when Deanston bottled their first single malt whiskey. To more recent times, I believe in 2012, they created a new visitor centre, and since then, say today, they've rebranded and repackaged their whiskey. So up till recent times, there's not been any dramatic changes other than the visitor centre in 2012. So I hope that's gave a good insight into the Deanston distillery, the Adelphi cotton mill, and the fact that they had their own coins is still pretty cool and fascinating to me. Sorry, I was just reading the top of the bottle. I do not know what that cork says. It looks like it's in some sort of Latin. That's probably the coin, actually, coming to think of it. I might be wrong. It does have Deanston Mill on it. I'm not sure if that's focused or not. But yeah, I wonder what that is. It'd be a good question to ask. So the whiskey is 56.4% ABV, it's non-chill filtered, and I actually phoned the distillery to ask them if they added any colouring. There's no added colouring, and I think this is a rule of thumb for all their whiskey, they were saying. They do not add colouring. So it's a nice, it's a nice urine colour. It's a nice yellow, pale yellow colour there. We'll get down to the palate, the nose and the finish. One thing right off that's extremely evident here is the alcohol strength. I drink a lot of high ABV whiskies, but this, you feel it on your nose. There's a tingle, there's a twitch, there is a nip. So just be aware of that when nosing this one. There's sweet and spicy notes. There's, I don't know if it's tobacco leaf or it's a kind of sweet tobacco that you'd find in like a pipe, a smoking pipe. My friend's dad used to smoke tobacco pipe, and it reminds me of that, but I'm not sure if it's leaf. I think it is leaf that you just jam in and then light. There's caramelised demerara sugar, the brown sugar you get. There's also like a Nutella smell, sort of the chocolate and hazelnut spread that you get. There's definitely hazelnut. The chocolate's probably a bit dark, So if you ever get dark chocolate Nutella, that's what's reminiscent here. There's winey grapes. There's a very wine smell to this. Probably the brandy. To be honest, I don't drink brandy. It's not something I've had much experience with. So I couldn't, although I'd be able to tell there's something winey about this, I wouldn't be able to tell you it's brandy. But yeah, there's definitely winey grapes, there's like juicy plums, there's a little bit of malt. But yeah, that alcoholic strength can really throw you off, so I would be aware of that. There's a lot going on in the nose. There's a bitter sweetness, there's the juicy grape wininess, there's a lot a lot to deal with. But it all ties quite well together. It's not all over the place for me. So the palate. Yeah, you can tell it's high ABV. A nice kick there, a nice punch of flavours. It's sweet and sticky. Grapes, forest fruits, red fruits. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of fruit going on here. There's a kind of rum raisin flavour. There's a strong presence of the tannins, whether that be from the brandy cask or just the normal whiskey, the bourbon or the oak casks, but there is a strong tannin presence. There's dark honey, obviously not like light honey, it's nice and dark, sticky honey, quite bitter. There's bitter dark chocolate. There's also a strong Arabica, if that's how you say it, grounded coffee kind of taste. Is it Arabica? Anyway, there's the grounded coffee that you'd use in a cafetiere or a French press, however you want to call it. There's that flavour, or at least the smell of it, and then the kind of transferring that into a taste. But yeah, there's a kind of coffee, but it's not just normal kind of, what do you call it, the coffee granules or anything like that. It's specifically grounded coffee that I'm tasting. It's almost that you can almost feel the bits from the coffee. It's almost bitty. If you've ever had a cafetiere coffee, it's almost that you can taste or have the sensation of those bits in this whiskey. There's no bits in this whiskey. It is smooth. I mean, there's some probably cork sediment and maybe cask sediment in there, but there's but yeah, that's the experience I feel. It's almost like a simulation of it, because you can taste the grounded coffee. You're expecting the particles. There's more sweet and spicy oak taste, and once again it's another bitter. So there's a bitterness, there's fruitiness. It's quite consistent from the nose. The palate, it's almost identical. So yeah, there's enough going on. It's quite full-bodied. I always get mixed up between full-bodied and complex, whether complex is many different flavours, and obviously full-bodied's the kind of intensity from the flavours. So for me, this is complex, but it's still consistent. So like I said, the nose and the palate are very similar, but I'd still say that's complex, and it is full-bodied. So yeah, that's that's my take on it. The finish. The finish is medium in length, which is surprising for the high ABV, because I usually consider that high ABV whiskies will have a longer finish. So I'm not sure whether this is to do with the age, maybe because the maturation process is less than an older whiskey. You're not getting as long and intense a finish. The flavours are still powerful, flavours are still there. There's nutmeg, there's cinnamon, more dark chocolate. The dark chocolate's consistent throughout. There's more tobacco leaf now with the finish. That wasn't really evident in the palate, however it was in the nose, but the tobacco leaf's now there. It's even a little, I wouldn't say it's an oily feeling whiskey, however in the finish there's an oily presence to it, which is carrying sweet and spicy grapes. So I'm not sure, I'm trying to convey how that actually feels. It's not in the sense that it's an oily film around your mouth. It's more that it's because you're getting this sweet and spicy, almost, how would you say, almost crushed or splattered, what is the word, mulled maybe, basically grapes that have been grounded down, but I don't think grounded is the right word. I'm no wine expert, but it's basically, I'd say like a sticky, sweet grape that's just been compressed, and it's that kind of sensation that's in the mouth, almost oily, almost sticky, if that makes sense. I hope you're still with me. So, yeah, the finish is probably the least a pleasing part of this whiskey. The nose and the palate were the more full-bodied, the more complex, and the finish is, if I could say anything bad, I'd say the finish is just a little let down. I'd like it to be longer. I'm craving a longer finish, but I suppose that makes me want to drink more because I want to keep getting those flavours. So it's a nice whiskey, and I've got to give top marks to Deanston for one, non-chill filtered, no added colouring, but also saying it's 9 years old. They could have released this with just, I don't know, 2008 on it or something stupid, or vintage, or I don't know, not vintage, wouldn't be vintage. But they could have just released this as an honest statement, and we would never have known it's 9 year old. And I don't think it's very evident that it's a young whiskey. Maybe the finish gives it away. I think the palate and the nose throw you a little. You could say this was 15 year old. If old, you could say it's older with the nose and the palate. So you've got to commend them for putting 9 years in a bottle. I would rather see an age statement on it, on a non-age stated whiskey. I don't see what's wrong with putting an age statement on it. This hasn't deterred me from buying it because it says 9 year old. Whereas a non-age statement whiskey, I'd be a little more reluctant to buy that. But if it even had 3 years old in it or 4 year old, I know the Kilkerran heavily peated one I go back to all the time. It doesn't have the age statement on it, but it's widely known that it's only 3 year old or 3.5 year old. So even the fact that it's known is good, and I think more distilleries should do this. Even Kilkerran should do it with their heavily peated. They should just put 3 or 3.5 year old on it. However, I'm no marketing expert, so I don't know how that would affect the sale of the product. But like I said, I commend Deanston for putting at least 9 year old on it. And it's not big, bold, it's not in your face that it's, oh, this is a 9 year old whiskey. The brandy finish is the main selling point here. Would I get another bottle of this? Down to the point. Would I buy this again? I probably would. This is a really nice whiskey. I'm not the biggest on wine finishes or brandy finishes, but I have been getting more and more into them, and this is definitely a favourite of those type of finished whiskies. I think this is finished well. I think it's been plucked at the right time and finished just for the right period of time. I don't think the brandy influence is too strong. I think it's just right and everything marries well together. So I definitely say a great job to Deanston. And this is my first and only official bottling of Deanston, and this would definitely encourage me to buy more. So this is 100% a whiskey win, if you couldn't tell by the language and by the praise, and I need to start exploring more Deanston whiskey. So if you've got any recommendations for me to buy any Deanston whiskey, please put it in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've been Stuart, this has been Whiskey Whims. I'll see you later.